Do you want to create an apocalyptic timeline? Do you want to create an end times timeline? Do you want to live in a world where you have to fight people for food, resources? I don't.
Warning. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The ideas and perspectives shared here are based on research, personal interpretation, and speculation. They are not intended to be taken as proven fact, medical advice, or psychological guidance. If you have experienced trauma or are struggling with your mental health, I encourage you to seek professional help and support. Your discretion is advised, as some topics discussed may be triggering.
There's a reason why they call it the world stage, and a reason why they call it television programming. And if you've been a part of my community, even if you've only seen a couple of videos, then you probably know that one of the most important things we cover on this channel is mind control and personal empowerment. And today I wanted to talk about an event that has gripped the world, and that is the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the memorial service, which just so happened to have occurred during this last eclipse cycle in September of 2025. I understand this is a triggering topic for people, so I want to tread the waters carefully here, and I want to approach it from a zoomed out perspective and the impact that it's having on the collective, and how this could very much be a turning point in history based on some of the astrology and synchronicities that I'm seeing. So if that's not your thing, I kindly ask you to fly past this channel. But if you're into discussing the astrology of the situation and how events like this can impact the next couple of years, then stick around for this video, because I hope to leave you with tools of empowerment and discernment after watching this. So the first thing that I noticed in this eclipse cycle was the events that led up to the assassination. I made a video about Lady Gaga and the VMAs, not accusing anyone of having intentions of causing mayhem, so to speak, but just because I noticed some weird synchronicities in the songs that were performed at the VMAs. Now, there are a lot of rumors and conspiracies that Lady Gaga is part of this elite group due to her connection with Maria Abramovich. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that is someone who is known for something called spirit cooking. So you can look that up on your own if you'd like. And one of the things that I thought was interesting about her performance was, of course, all of the occult symbolism that we saw on stage, but also the choice of songs. Abracadabra, which means I create as I speak, and then the dead dance. And what was most interesting about the promotions leading up to the VMAs is that a song, the dead dance, premiered on the show Wednesday. So when we are consuming media programming and looking at this through the lens that words are spelling as in casting spells, and if you know anything about the occult or magic or manifestation, you know that emotions can be used, they can be harvested to supercharge the magician's intent. So again, not saying Lady Gaga is a magician or that she's even involved in the occult. I'm just pointing out occult symbolism in music and also the choice of words. And I'm also pointing out that despite her intentions, she is a huge part in programming the nation, especially when there are millions of people watching the VMAs. So when there are millions of people watching an event like this and it's happening on a blood moon, lunar eclipse, where our emotions are at their peak, it starts to look pretty suspicious. And like I said, in media promotions leading up to the VMAs, we learned that her song was released in the show Wednesday, which was the same day that Charlie was assassinated. And the other thing I find interesting is that her album is called Mayhem. Now again, no accusations, but if you know, you know, certain societies and elite organizations believe that they can create order through chaos. This is one of the teachings of Saturn, but Saturn in some organizations is associated with Satan and Luciferianism. So certain organizations that may be practicing this kind of occult magic may be trying to cast spells on the public to harvest energy in order to create order out of chaos. So in certain belief systems, when these chaotic events happen, we see order. And what's eerie to me is how this is playing out on the world stage right now when it comes to what the media seems to be most focused on, which seems to be Charlie Kirk. A lot of people are confused even about why his passing has garnered the attention of millions and why they are treating him like a president or something. I'm not saying my personal opinions, I'm just saying what I've heard on social media, what other people are saying. So from an objective standpoint, I'm also seeing that there's a lot of media coverage on this and that his memorial service was a huge event, which also captured the attention of millions and also happened during an eclipse, the new moon eclipse to be exact. Now I want to get into the eclipse cycles and what's happening with the outer planets, because you'll start to see a bigger picture that this event may be creating or attempting to manifest. So one of the things I noticed around the time of his memorial service is that so many people have been giving their life to Jesus after this event. So there are a lot of new Christians that are being born as a result of this. And some people may perceive that this is being weaponized for a certain agenda, perhaps some kind of new world order in 2030 where they hope to unite world religions, which is a popular conspiracy theory in different conspiracy circles, and may even have to do something with Project Bluebeam where they create some kind of distraction. Side note, 3i Atlas. Have you heard the rumors that 3i Atlas might be a hostile alien ship? Is Charlie's passing associated potentially with this 3i Atlas event, or something along the lines of Project Bluebeam, where they're trying to use an event like this to harvest energy from people who are watching, from the nation, from people who are grieving and people who are emotional about his passing, and people who are very, shall we say, separated in how they feel about it. There's obviously some very strong feelings about Charlie and what he stood for. So there's a lot of lower vibrational emotions that can be harvested from an event like this, which can make these manifestations more powerful when attention is also focused on it. So not only do we have, at the start of this eclipse cycle on September 7th, we had the VMA performance and some strange songs performed that people may have been repeating, and that happened on the same day that seemed to be the same day that a bunch of world events that were violent in nature happened. Not to mention that this eclipse set off a brand new eclipse cycle. Usually eclipse cycles go from a new moon to a full moon, but the September 7th eclipse shifted the cycle from a full moon to a new moon cycle, which means we will experience the chaos of the full moon, the clarity of the full moon, the manifestations of the full moon before we get a chance to plant new seeds again. The other thing I did was look up the eclipse cycles and some of the outer planets and the nodes of astrology for the next handful of years, which will be occurring as the shift and reversal in moon cycle is occurring. So one of the reasons why it is important to understand the astrology is because if you believe that there's a shadowy organization ruling the world and they may be doing it for spiritual or religious purposes, then it's important to know that these organizations are using moon cycles to harvest energy. And if you want to know anything else about the moon cycles, you can watch some of the videos I made about the Saturn moon matrix and energy harvesting and why it's important for us to be aware of these things that are happening. So if we live in a simulation of sorts and the people that run the simulation are using portals and capitalizing off astrological energy, wouldn't you like to know and understand what's happening with this astrological energy as well? Wouldn't that in a lot of ways give you an advantage for how you navigate this system that we're in? I think so, and that's why I study and I teach astrology. So one of the things that really has stuck out to me about this reversal in moon cycle, which lasts until 2027, is that the nodes during this time are primarily in Pisces and Virgo over the next 2 years, so 2025 and 2026, and then they will shift into Aquarius and Leo in 2027. So this is huge because we've been talking about the age of Aquarius for a while, which is the age of freedom, AI, revolution, technology, advancements. And Pisces is the energy of spiritual warfare, which we've also been talking about. Pisces is also the last sign of the zodiac. It completes karmic cycles. It dissolves the old in preparation for the new. So the nodes are going backwards as well. We've recently left the Aries Libra node cycles, which was about self versus other. Aries is also the god of war, and Libra wants peace. So now our node cycle is shifting into Virgo and Pisces. Virgo is the body, daily routines, and how they may be changing or may need to change. And Pisces is spirituality. It's the unknown. It's where we learn how to surrender. And that's been a huge lesson for a lot of us over the last couple of years. Surrendering to the unknown. And if you're anything like me, you may have noticed the more you try to control events, even when it comes down to things like your finances or anything going on in your personal life, the more we try to control it, the more we seem to interfere with the natural processes of the universe. So one of the big lessons of Pisces is to learn to detach and surrender. Pisces and Virgo is also a feminine energy. When we were in the Libra Aries cycle, it was a masculine energy. So it was about taking action. But when we're in the Virgo Pisces cycle, it's about surrender. So that is why I think we're seeing a lot of people giving their life to Christ right now and stepping up their spiritual game or finding some kind of spirituality. I myself recently launched an ESP development program which covers so many things about what it means to be in control of your energy field and all of your esoteric bodies. Not only your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, your spiritual body. During these times of spiritual warfare, it's more important now than it ever has been to be in control of our energy field. So our energy isn't being harvested by other people who happen to know about the occult and happen to know about how energy works. Because when you're unconscious and you don't realize what's going on, it's so easy to give our attention away to these organizations who can capitalize off of that attention, off of that energy, and use it for nefarious purposes to create the world that they want to see. After this period of Pisces and Virgo lessons, we're moving into Aquarius themes, which are freedom, revolution, technology advancements like we've never seen in our lifetime. The other thing that's so interesting is that the outer planets, which affect generations, are also in the signs of Aquarius, which is freedom and revolution and humanitarianism, and then Pisces, which is dissolving old systems, karmic retribution, spirituality, spiritual warfare, and Aries, self versus other. Aries is also the god of war. So when Neptune, spirit, is in Aries, it's this energy of spiritual warfare, but it's also this energy that is asking spiritual leaders, the next generation of spiritual leaders, to rise up to this very important fight. I have crazy chills as I'm saying this, because if you're watching this video still, if you've been a part of my channel, you know that I'm very passionate about teaching people personal empowerment, tools for personal empowerment. Water also will seek its own level. Like attracts like. So you're here for a reason. And it's most likely because maybe you're being called to be part of that next generation of leaders, especially if you were part of the GATE program, if you're having a GATE kid awakening right now and waking up to some of your psychic skills like astral traveling, lucid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, memories of super soldiers, or making contact with ETs or UFOs. You're waking up now for a reason. This is not by mistake. This is by design. Because whether or not you believe in astrology or understand astrology that's happening, we're seeing it play out right in front of our very eyes. So we're seeing themes of spiritual warfare. We're seeing themes of advancements in technology. We're seeing potential contact with extraterrestrials and UFO disclosure happening. And my prediction is that we will continue to see more advancements in these areas over the next couple of years, especially since we have the outer planets, Saturn for one, which is closing out its cycle in Pisces during this eclipse cycle in September of 2025. But the next few cycles, Saturn will have moved into Aries. So Aries is starting something new in the realm of Saturn, which controls our material world and top-down structures. So does that mean we're going to see more people starting their own businesses during this time, or moving away to be on their own so they're not a part of these systems? Possibly. There is a rise in people who are interested in homesteading right now. We also have Neptune in Aries, which was a cosmic reset, especially in terms of spirituality and karmic contracts on this planet. And we've got Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, transformation, and the underworld, our collective shadow work in the sign of Aquarius. So Pluto's helping us find personal freedom. But if we continue to give our energy to these world events without understanding how our energy and attention is being harvested, then we're missing the point of what we're doing here on this planet. And we're missing out on the opportunity to utilize this energy to create what we want to create. Do you want to create an apocalyptic timeline? Do you want to create an end times timeline? Do you want to live in a world where you have to fight people for food or resources? I don't. Do you know what I want to see? I want to see a world of peace. I want to see people personally empowered, not giving their power away to their jobs, to their employer, to the system who is taking advantage of them. I want to see people abundant, prosperous, happy. I want to live in a country that has clean air, clean energy that's not harmful to our planet. I want to see people wake up to how we're treating Mother Earth and start respecting her as the living, breathing being that she is. That's what I want my energy to go towards creating. So if you feel like I do, it's so important that we pay attention to what we're creating with our thoughts and where our energy is going, because thoughts create things. And if you don't know anything about the law of attraction, if you've ever had an inkling that you might be psychic, but you don't really know how to fully step into your psychic powers and potential, then I invite you to take my ESP development and remote viewing mastery course. I think remote viewing is a great tool for anyone to learn too, especially if, God forbid, this apocalypse timeline happens and we ever go off the grid or lose access to our cell phones. If you learn the skill of remote viewing, you can literally tap into the energy of where someone is, what somebody is doing. I was just watching a video the other day. I wish I could remember what it was and that I could find it and share it here. But I was watching a video the other day about a group of Christians who are very strong in their faith, who band together and they would meditate and pray about missing persons and then share the information and the clues that they got individually with each other. And they've been able to find missing persons. That is extremely powerful. And we as humans have that potential. I have proven this to myself, and that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it and sharing it with others, because I truly believe that anyone can learn this skill. But there were many things that I had to give up and things that I had to be disciplined about in order to develop that skill. So that's what I teach in my remote viewing course. And I also do one-on-one personal lessons if you're interested in working with somebody like me one-on-one, so you can develop these skills at your own pace. So if you're interested in working with me, go ahead and check out the links in my description where you'll find my course, but also a space to book a reading with me. I also do astrology readings, which I think are super helpful for understanding your personal cycles. Because if our energy is always being harvested and directed at what's happening on the news, we're missing out on what we could be creating and manifesting in our own lives. We're missing out on the cycles that we came here as an individual spirit to work on in this lifetime. We have an opportunity to clear karma from the past, to evolve into a higher vibrational world, into a happier world. We have an opportunity to release a lot of karma in this lifetime and manifest the life of our dreams. So that's what astrology can teach. And so can human design. Human design is like a step up from astrology. Human design combines astrology with the auric field, with Kabbalah, Tree of Life, and I Ching. And it looks at where your energy centers are open, where they are receiving energy, and where they are defined, projecting energy. So when I learned my personal astrology chart and my personal human design chart, things really took off for me, and I was able to finally start trusting in my intuition and discernment, and finally start seeing things that had been stuck for so long in my life start to manifest. I also was able to quit toxic habits like relationships that were abusive, and I was able to stop engaging with my habits that were addictive in nature. And as a result, I look better, I feel better, and my life is going better. So I would love to see that for more people on the planet. I love seeing that light bulb go off in people in the same way that it did for me when I learned these tools. And I highly suggest that if you're feeling stuck in any way, or you've ever had any kind of trouble trusting in your own intuition or discernment, that you make it a priority to focus on your inner world. And the planets are going to be supportive of this because the nodes are in Pisces. So that's our collective destiny. That's what our spirits, our collective spirit, our collective mind is working towards. Trusting in the unknown rather than being afraid of it. So again, astrology, human design, tarot, remote viewing, these are all tools that can help you tap into that. So if you're interested in learning, go ahead, check out the links in my bio. Thanks again for watching this video and being a part of this community. I appreciate all of your comments, all of your shares, and this amazing community that we have created together. So if you have any ideas for upcoming videos and things that you'd like to learn about, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I'll meet you in the